Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I talk about this is the separation of mixtures. The first one we're going to start with the filtration. This is the method applicable for the suspensions. This example of suspension may be mixture of chalk dust or flow with water can be separated by filtering the suspension. Now the suspended particles get trapped in the filter paper, and the trapped particles are what we call the residue, and the water that we get after filtering is what we call the filtrate. Let's see the second method, that is the decantation. This method also can be used also to separate these suspensions also. Once the solid has settled into the bottom of the container, that is the sedimentation process. After sedimentation process, the liquid then can be carefully poured out off. So this is what we call the decantation process. So the decantation process involves the sedimentation process, which is the settling down of those the solid particles. Now the decantation can be applied to separate such components as mixtures of mud, uh, sand, gravel in water, and so on. So those are just a few examples where decantation can be applied. Let's see, the third one is the evaporation. And this method is used to separate the solutions. To separate these substances, the solution is heated so that the solvent evaporates, leaving the solid residue behind. So a mixture of salty or sugar and water can be separated by applying this kind of method. So this is all about the third method, that is the evaporation. Moving on, let's see the fourth one, that is the simple distillation. And the simple distillation, the separating a liquid from a solution can be carried out by this distillation, whereby the boiling point of a liquid is usually very much lower than that of a dissolved solid. So the liquid can be easily evaporated off in a distillation flask. It is condensed by passing it down a water cooled condenser and then collected as the distillate. So the distillate is what we get after distillation. So this method can be used to obtain the pure water from impure water or water from the dissolved impurities. The processing also may be used to separate a liquid from a solid, or to separate two liquids whose boiling points differ by an applicable temperature interval. So this is the way of getting a pure solvent out of a solution. The fifth one is the fractional distillation. This is the other type of distillation, whereby they're separating the liquids from a mixture of two or more miscible liquids, again based on the fact that the liquids will have their different boiling points. However, the boiling points are closer together than for a solid in liquid solutions. So it is difficult to separate mixtures of liquids whose boiling points differ by only a few degrees. That's why we apply this fractional distillation. For example, ethanol boils at 78 degrees Celsius, whereas water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. When you saw a solution of ethanol and water is heated, ethanol and water vapors enter the fractional column. The evaporation, the condensation takes place as the vapors rise up the column, and the ethanol passes through the condenser first as the temperature of the column is raised above the boiling point. Then the water condenses in the column and falls back into the flask because of the temperature of the column is below its boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius. So the temperature on the thermometer stays at 78 until the ethanol has distilled over. Eventually, the thermometer reading is rises above 78 degrees. So this is the sign that all ethanol has been separated, so heating can then be stopped. So by watching the temperature carefully, the two liquids can be collected separately. So various forms of fractional distillation can be used. Their general purpose is to provide the surfaces example of flat discs on which ascending vapor can condense. Now the glass beads in the column provide a larger surface area for condensation. So that's all about the fractional distillation process. The sixth one is the sublimation. In the sublimation, this is technically used to separate a mixture of solids where one of the solids is sublimes. So example of solids which is sublime is ammonia, chloride, iodine, solid carbon dioxide, and the methane. So a mixture of these solids with another solid can be separated by simply this sublimation. The seventh one is the chromatography. This is the method used to separate a mixture of colored substances. For example, this is the separation of dyes that make up black ink. So mainly there are two types of chromatography, mainly column chromatography and the paper chromatography. So they all work on the same principle. The eighth one is the layer separation. The mixtures of two immiscible liquids can be separated with the separating funnel, whereby the mixture is placed in the separating funnel and allowed to stand. So the liquid separate into two different layers. The lower denser layer is then tapped off at the bottom. So for example, it may be a mixture of kerosene and water is poured into the funnel. The kerosene flows to the top, while then the tap is opened. The water runs out, so the tap is closed again when all the water has gone, leaving the kerosene in the funnel. So that's how you already separated the water into the kerosene. The ninth one is the solvent extraction. This is also known as the liquid extraction, which refers to the separation of materials of different chemical types and the solubilities by the selective solvent extraction. So that some of the materials are more soluble in one solvent than another. So the method is used to maybe to refine petroleum products, say chemicals, vegetable oils, and vitamins. So this method is used to separating a solid from a solution in which is more than one solid dissolved. So an example of this is a water solution of iodine and the sodium chloride. So can be separated by this the solvent extraction. The tenth one, which is the last one, is the magnetic separation, which is the solid mixture that contains iron, and the iron can be removed using the magnet. So this method is used to separate scrap iron from other metals. So the magnetic iron ore can be separated from the other material in the crushed core by using electromagnet. So in the process of recycling metals, iron objects can be picked out from the scrap metals using these electromagnets. I hope it's clear, guys. We've talked here on the various methods of separating mixtures. See you in the other videos.